All right, guys, we're back again with another great episode of PFREI, Passion for Real Estate Investments. I'm your host, Fuquan Bilal. This is going to be a great show. I got a good friend of mine on, Darrin Carr from Carr Talent Acquisition. So this is actually probably the first show that we had. We had a guest on that was really a service provider. And I really want to introduce Darrin to you guys because he helped me so much in my business. And I think it'd be a great value add to you guys and gals as well. So I'll let him get into the background of what he does. But just off the top, he is a recruiting firm and he can help you level up your business by finding the right butts for the right seat. Did I say that right? The right butts in the right seat. He puts the
Yeah.
right butts in the right seat. And there's a process that we'll talk about that he goes through to help business owners recruit for their businesses. Now, I know this is a real estate show, but I wanted Darrin to come on because this is one of the things us real estate investors need to continue to be successful. We need to build the right team. We need to help create culture. And we're going to speak to a lot of that and why is it important to your business. So welcome to the show, buddy.
Thank you so much, Fuquan. I am always glad to be talking with you. There's not many that can match your tour de force energy and positivity, so it's always a treat.
I really appreciate it. And he makes you feel really good about yourself when you leave the call. So that's an added bonus. If you're ever having a down day and you speak to Dan, you leave the call like, I'm the greatest. That's awesome. So yeah, I wanted to do the show. Even though it's a real estate podcast, I think it's important to have people like yourself on to this is one of the resources that we need as business owners to help us thrive, right? So a while ago, I was the GSD guy to get stuff done. I wanted to do it all, right? Nobody can do it like me. Nobody can do it better than me. And what Darrin does is he proves you wrong. He says, no, we're going to help find people who are smarter than you, who you can develop a great team with, and then you can manage those team members. And for me, a manager is someone who makes leaders. So let's tell the audience a little bit of background, and then some of the services you provide. Then we'll get into it.
Yeah, you bet, Fuquan. So yeah, just a little bit about me to kind of set the stage for where we're at now. I grew up, in the dark side in corporate. So I was in sales, and that's why I think we focus a lot in on sales. So I was a sales rep, and then a district manager, and then a regional manager. So I started hiring. I was hiring managers in my late 20s, and so got to know a little bit about what it takes to hire great people, and just prove the golden rule of recruiting. A players hire A players. So that's what we try to do here. My last 10 years in corporate, I was a director of recruiting for some pretty big companies, some billion-dollar companies in publishing. So Macmillan, Pearson, Prentice Hall, Cengage. You may or may not know some of those companies, but that gave me a big seat at the table, got me a strategic view, and then I just wanted to get out and start my own deal. So we are a recruiting company. We that specializes in REI, in real estate investment. So we were generalists coming out of the gate 8 years ago, and then we just started helping from other masterminds and other business communities. We started helping more and more REI companies until we got introduced to some pretty big communities out there. So that has really helped us hone in and specialize and get all the tools and tricks and job descriptions and compensation models and interview questions for all the different REI positions. So we train our people up. We got about 15 recruiters, and we train them up hard in REI, everything, what it takes to be a good lead manager, acquisitions manager, AKA home buying specialist, et cetera. So we're all tuned into that. We're all, focused on that. It's what we do 90% of the time. And so we're very process oriented. We pride ourselves in being able to take people whose expertise isn't recruiting and isn't making an offer and isn't attracting good candidates, and really taking them by the hand step by step and providing that sort of white glove service. So I could go into more detail, but that's a quick summary off the top.
Thank you for that. And for those of you who are actually the do-it-yourself type of person, I can tell you it's so worth the investment to have a firm like Carr Talent Acquisition kind of do the dirty work for you. Like they basically, their style and their approach, the way they do it is different. They don't place ads. They pretty much headhunt pretty much. And the way they do it is when they present the applicant in front of you, it's all laid out. There's a predictive index profile. There's an alignment with the position that you're looking for, you're recruiting for. And then they'll do the first interview process to make sure that we're all on the same page, and then they set you up for success. So the rest is really up to you. And I've had nothing but a great experience from that. But let's talk about some of those processes that you go through, and then also what are you seeing in today's job market for real estate? Because we're now in this podcast may get launched a little later, but we're in Q1 of 2023, and there's been unemployment is still low than it's ever been in many years nationwide. So that's a good sign versus before when they were paying bonuses to hire people. There's still some people I would guess, and you would know more than me, that's still picky about certain jobs and still wanting certain things. But that's a multiple question I gave you. So let me back up.
Yeah.
First, let's start with the process that your firm go through, just high level, and then we'll get into where we are in the market today with recruiting.
Well, if you don't mind, I think I might flip it because it might inform the other.
Let's do it.
So you are exactly right. At the beginning of February, we just learned that unemployment, it was at a 50-year low at 3.5%. It just went down to 3.4%. That's the lowest it's ever been since the 1969 moon landing.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So it's tough out there, especially for salespeople. The good people have jobs. So, and that sort of, I'm getting to our process because this informs it. If you're placing an ad out there, and we do place ads, but 75% of our hires come from us really listening to what our clients need in terms of, functionality, what do they need, and culture, because that's for long-term fit. And we hire for hungry, humble, smart, and cultural fit. So unemployment's low, you place an ad, what are you going to get? You're going to get a lot of people who are unqualified. You're going to get a lot of people who may or may not be interested because they have hit a button 50 times that day on Indeed and they don't have a job. And why don't they have a job in this market? That's another question you need to ask yourself. And so that precipitates the need for us to be the poachers, the people who are like looking to harpoon them out of the sea and to flush them out of the mountains. And how do you do that? It's with a couple of things. And this starts the process. It comes with, first of all, volume. You've got to sound out. You got to call, you got to text, you got to email a lot of people now to get the response. Half the response we used to get, a couple of years ago. We sent out 100 messages and we get 16, 18 back. Now we get 2, 3, maybe none. So it's volume, and it's also spark, charisma, hustle. Like A players hire A players. And I'm proud of my recruiters because they have a couple of things. They've got the technical skills. They know how to find them. That takes keywording, right? You need 4 things: time, tools, expertise, and process. What a lot of people don't have is the tools. And we pay the big bucks for the software that we're able to have the whole universe of people out there. And we're able to tap them on the shoulder and say, hey, man, you look like you have a great looking profile. We're working for a great company. Here's why this company's great. Here's why Fuquan's great. Here's a little bit about what's in it for you. Here's a little about what you'd be doing. If you want to learn more, good recruiting is good sales for the right people at the right time. That's just a straight up answer. You got to be selling while you're assessing these folks. So how does that all start? The process is so we start with a discovery meeting. As you know, many times, I think we've probably done it 15, 20 times with you for your various positions. And we need 45 minutes and we just really dig in. Tell us about what you need functionally and culturally. Tell us about, what the best people in this company, how they have gotten along, how have they jived with the company, what has made it a good fit. And then we can replicate that and we kind of know the sort of profile that we're looking for. From there, we also want to learn what makes your company special, what makes it sparkle, why does it shine. We need to tell stories to attract the best people away from their best sales jobs. They're killing it. We want the people who are killing it, but they just don't know they could kill it more with you. And so we need those little tidbits, and you've been very good about providing that about, what you do, culturally, and do you take people out every quarter to do different events, things like that. So anyway, discovery meeting where we really dig in. We present, the next step is we present calibration test candidates where we send out a few people before we reach out to a couple hundred people, spend a lot of time and money doing that. We fine tune, we send a few people out to our clients to say, hey, we've heard what you've told us in terms of what you need. here's some people we haven't reached out to yet. What do you think about this? Yes, Darrin, because of that. Yes, Darrin, because of that. No, because of that. Okay, now we're dialed in even more. Now we're off to the races. We're pushing out hundreds of messages to get those 3 to 5 candidates that we want to submit for every position, because we want a choice, because nothing brings clarity like comparison. And so we want people to think, to have that choice. They might think number 2 is good till they talk to number 4. So we keep them coming, and usually provides a good choice. So the process from there is, we're off to the races, being polished ambassadors of the brand, reaching out to a lot of people, get them on the phone for an informal chat about first question we ask them is what's important. We don't go into interviewing them. What's important to you. They like that. They want to know that they need that. Tells us it shows them we care, shows them that, first of all, also helps us align, do their core values, what they just told us, align with the clients. And number 3, if they're good, tells us how to sell them. Okay, great. You told me you want X, Y, Z. Well, Fuquan's got X, Y, Z and 1, 2, 3. What do you think about that? What's your interest level now? Okay, it's a 10, Darrin. Then we move into the assessment phase, and we're asking the hard questions. We're asking behavioral interview questions, and those are the tricky ones. And I can tell you just a little bit about that. It's just to give you a flavor. They need to come. They can't come prepared for these. It's tell me about a time you had a challenge with sales regarding X, and it can be whatever's most important to our client. Number 2, what was the plan? How'd you put it together? Who'd you talk to put it together? Number 3, how did that plan unfold, execute? Number 4, what was the result? Sales go up to 28%. What was the benefit to the company? And number 5, what did you learn from that experience, or what would you do differently going forward? And that really gets at their adaptability, their intelligence, their coachability. And they're not expecting that. They got to have a cogent, coherent, compelling story for us to believe them. And you can tell when people are BSing on something like that. It's hard to make that up on the fly.
Yeah. Yeah, I appreciate that. And then there's other steps that you go through. Once they make it past that, and then you want to set them up for the next round, then we do the behavior testing and the predictive index testing. So you can see the cognitive score and basically the profile that they fit in to make sure it's in alignment with that position. I'm not sure if all companies that you work with do that, but I know we do. And a few other guys that I know you work with that's in our mastermind do. But how do you think that helps to identify the person, that tool?
Yeah, so we have 3 certified PI people on staff. So they are the experts, and all of our recruiters help facilitate it. The PI, and most REI companies use that. There are some other companies that use other things, but that's predominantly the one. And so, what we like to say, and as what our leading expert here says, it's one tool, and it should be taken into a full account. It's one piece of the puzzle, along with those results of the behavioral interviewing, and other questions we ask. It's something to take into consideration. We do think there should be some leeway, because some people can take first of all, it's a very incredible tool. It's accurate, as usually very accurate. I was so surprised how much it nailed me. Doesn't get in the details. We do rely on it, but we also take a more holistic, view, because there are people who've taken it twice and it's come out totally different. And some people can game it too. So some people are good at it, but overall it's a great tool. We just take it. We take it as a part of the piece of the puzzle. Important to many, including you, I know, is the cognitive score. And I think that is key.
That's hard to game. That part is hard to game.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. It's how
the profile is easy. The profile, the cognitive, that's really, where you get the chance to see the intelligence level, how quick they respond, if they can think out of the box, their problem solver, a few of those things. What have you seen in that? Because I've seen some people that didn't meet the score that I wanted for the position, but it didn't mean, like you said, that was just one piece of the puzzle. So it mean probably they wasn't good for that seat, but they were working another seat in the company, right?
Yeah. And the other number to look for is that overall score, that overall fit score, that 1 through 10. That's part of it. And as far as the personality profiles, it's funny because they're shifting a little bit now. I see from my clients, like not everybody wants a Maverick anymore. And so it's kind of like, toe the line, we need, we need you to follow process. We don't need, everybody to be a cowboy. So that stuff shifts, but yeah, it's definitely one of the helpful tools. And so we take that into account as we, we'll wrap up our interview process. And as you know, we'll present to, a submission to our client, which is a paragraph summary of why we think they're a good fit functionally and culturally, bullets on specific strengths, resume, LinkedIn profile link, what the compensation they need. Yeah, that's how we get, our 3 to 5 choices to our clients.
What challenges are you seeing now most business owners are having in this market? Are people in this current market still like holding off on hiring? Are people still like, let's go, let's recruit because of the economy where it's at? There's a lot of layoffs happening. There's some people who's laying off rock stars because they just, trying to keep the liquidity to have a burn rate, and then they're going to recruit back later. Or some people dropping dead weight, or people who may have been operating in a function of their company that just slowed down dramatically and there's no need for it. So how does that, come into play with what you're doing? You're hiring on one end and then there's massive layoffs on the other end. Like,
Well,
do that like
so
make the hair stand up on your back? Like, what's going to happen to my market?
yeah, no, so to be 100% honest, we through last year, we didn't see any. We were just as busy as we were in January as we were in December, because good companies still need good people, and there's there's attrition. People fall out for any number of reasons. So I think we probably hired more dispo. We hired a certain percentage more dispo than we had at the end of the year than we did at the beginning of the year. But it remained fairly steady. January is always a little bit of a lull when people kind of figuring out what they're doing, and they're I think as you are sort of like reassessing your staff level expertise, and do you need this type of leader or this type of salesperson? So January is always like that. But I've attended a lot of meetings. You and I belong to some of the same groups and and I've attended a lot of those lately. And there's been this week and next week, and there's been round robins around from the chief operations officers, the COO calls that I'm on, and they were asking, what have you seen this January? And almost without exception, people said slow fourth quarter, but January's ticking up. I mean, it was really across the board. It was really kind of gratifying and heartening to hear. So it didn't slow down for us very much. January's a little bit of a lull, but the signs were good, even though interest rates might take another little bit of a hike here, because we just added last month we added 517,000 new jobs when it was expected to be 180. So again, the Fed may look at that, they may raise the interest rates again, but what I have seen in these meetings when they've gone round robin around the country, and they made sure they went regional too, and everybody said uptick. And I've taken 3 or 4 sales calls here the last few days where people are saying we're out of the gate, we're going hard. So it's not doom and gloom from I'm sitting.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, I'm hearing the same thing. It depends on what market you're in. I think what happened was people were just preparing for the worst, right? They were saying, okay, if this is going to happen, I need to start cutting expenses now and, get lean now and prepare, because things did slow down for Q4 and some early January with people who don't know what was happening. It was just unexpected. So people were just preparing for the worst and getting lean, and figuring this was the time to cut that weight, get rid of people who I've been wanting to get rid of. So a lot of that has been going on, and now people look like they're kind of transitioning to what may be in some markets more inventory is coming out, so they're trying to hire staff up now to prepare for that. But yeah, I mean, is there anything else you'd like to add to the show? I definitely want you to plug your contact information for people who can reach out. Like I said, Darrin has helped me in my business and several others that I've known in their business. And this guy hire like some really high level position. I'm talking about 6 figures and up type of positions, or we go down lower also. But before we do that, though, I had asked you this question through email and you answered, but I'd like to share with the show. I was like, hey, what do you think about hiring for someone who's in-house versus someone who's virtual, like a really key player of your team? If you need it, I guess that depends on what you need. If it's marketing, I guess that would be virtual. I don't know. But if it's like a COO operations person, that would be in-house, because you need somebody to kind of brainstorm with, integrator that person had. I think that's what you reply back. Hey, I think if you're hiring for this type of position, you want to have that person to kind of shoot ideas by in the flesh. And let's talk about that a little bit. What's your experience with, virtual
Yeah.
or in-house for those type of positions?
Yeah, yeah. Well, we've seen an uptick in the last 6 months on, and what I'm saying, last couple of years on remote, people doing things remote, lead manager, marketing. You're right, but as far as those kind of positions, where director of operations, operations manager, COO, yeah, it's my firm belief that that's where you want boots on the ground. You want that solid connection. You want that reportability. You want that visibility. You want that gravitas that person in that role is bringing as a top leader of yours in person, face to face. I think it's much more impactful to have that level of leader on the ground with you side by side. And that's another thing. And they can see you are, a team, a unit, and you are leading the company. And that helps them understand that this person's they've got the same kind of weight that you do, that they're, you are sharing, decision-making power. And I think it's, while it can be done, I've managed remotely my whole life. While it can be done, I think it's certainly usually more effective to have that operations director on the ground.
Yeah, thanks for sharing. If you want to plug your information where people can find more information about you and your services.
Yeah, I would just, you asked if I wanted to add one more thing. I would just say
Yes.
this: if you're, I'm about ready to do a presentation for a couple of other real estate groups, and if you're relying on job ads, you're getting the smallest slice of the potential candidate pool, and not anywhere near maybe the kind of level that you need. So you got to be active. And that's either yourself. It's a little bit more difficult because a lot of people don't have the tools, but I think you got to be active poachers and outreachers. You can do that for your own employees. You can hire a recruiter, but I would just advise against relying on whoever happens to waft your way via an Indeed ad that week, that day, that month. So that's what I'll say about that. People can reach me at my phone number, 641-691-2990. I'm at Darrin. My email is Darrin at Carr Talent, DARRIN at Carr, CARR talent.com. And we are at cartalent.com for our website.
So no posting ads on Craigslist. All right, guys, another great episode of PFREI, a passion for real estate investments. I'm your host, Fuquan Bilal. Make sure you catch us on YouTube. If you do, be sure to like, share, and repost it. If you can catch us on all other social media channels too, where you can find podcasts. It's been a plum pleasing pleasure. Thanks, Darrin.
Same
Always
here.
great
Thanks.
talking to you, buddy.
Thanks, brother.